In the United States, well-known activist and ally of American President Donald Trump, Charlie Kirk, was killed. On September 10th, he was shot during a speech at Utah Valley University. Judging by footage from the scene, the shooter hit him in the neck. Initially, Kirk was hospitalized in critical condition, but they were unable to save him. American leader Donald Trump announced the activist's death on his social network.
The great, even legendary Charlie Kirk has died. No one in the United States of America understood and felt the hearts of young people better than Charlie. He was loved and respected by everyone, especially by me. And now he is no longer with us.
It is known that the shooter fired from a distance of more than 180 meters. A few hours after the shooting, the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Kash Patel, announced the arrest of a suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk. However, he soon noted that the detainee was released after being questioned by law enforcement. Patel added that the investigation into the murder is ongoing. According to him, the police only have footage from surveillance cameras.
We have this footage, and we are analyzing it. But these are surveillance camera recordings, so you can imagine what the quality is like.
Charlie Kirk was a well-known podcast host in the US, a conservative activist, and a supporter of Donald Trump. Kirk's speeches sparked protests and petitions from student groups criticizing his views. Kirk also spread pro-Russian narratives regarding Russia's war against Ukraine. In particular, he was opposed to providing military aid to Kyiv. In addition, as CNN reports, on September 10th there was a shooting at a school in the state of Colorado. 3 people are in critical condition. In Poland, 16 drones have already been discovered after Russian drones violated the country's airspace on the night of September 10th. According to RMF24, one of them crashed into a Polish military base near Warsaw. The drone was found at a facility belonging to the Territorial Defense Forces in the town of Nowe Miasto nad Piliką in the Masovian voivodeship. The publication Bild wrote that during the attack, NATO spent at least €1,200,000 to shoot down cheap UAVs. The article notes that F-35 fighter jets and AIM-9 missiles, each costing about €400,000, were used to shoot down the drones, and 3 such missiles were used. At the same time, the cost of a single Russian drone is just a few €1,000s. The publication notes that NATO could learn from Ukraine, which shoots down drones with mobile fire teams and has special equipment for detecting them. Against the backdrop of the Russian attack, Sweden urgently sent additional aircraft and air defense systems to Poland. This was reported by Poland's Minister of National Defense, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz. He added that the Netherlands is supplying Poland with Patriot and NASAMS multi-layered defense systems. Meanwhile, Poland has imposed flight restrictions along the border with Ukraine and Belarus until December 9th. In this zone, a complete flight ban is in effect except for military aircraft. Following Poland, Latvia is closing its airspace on the border with Russia and Belarus at least until September 18th. As the country's defense minister Andris Sprod stated at a press conference, the reason for this is Russian drones in NATO airspace. He noted that this is an alarming signal and that it is now important to do everything possible to prevent an escalation of drone attacks.
The U.S. President's special representative for Ukraine, Kellogg, arrived in Kyiv on September 11th. It is not yet known how many days he will stay in Ukraine. Kellogg's visit comes amid intensified Russian strikes on Ukrainian regions, particularly the capital. The day before, the media reported that the fall of Russian drones on Polish territory caught Kellogg while he was en route. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, at a briefing with the President of Finland, stated that the Russian drone attack on Poland and the deployment of so-called little green men in Crimea are psychologically similar.
In my opinion, the scariest thing is that this attack is similar to Crimea, psychologically. How is it different? It's just that now it's a technological war. Now you don't just need people in green uniforms, the little green men as they were called, who simply entered your territory. Today it's a different kind of war. And today, that same role on Polish territory was carried out by Russian-made drones.
Volodymyr Zelensky expressed the opinion that with the attack on Poland, Russia wanted to see how the world would react.
To me, this is very similar to Crimea. To me, this is very much like Crimea. And I think it's like a kind of rehearsal. And that's why I'm sharing what I think. Because Putin's messages are out there in the media, they're open, they've always been about certain parts of Poland that the Soviet Union once gave to Poland. In other words, the rhetoric is the same.
The president also noted that Russia could have struck Poland to prevent partners from providing Ukraine with their air defense systems ahead of the coming winter.
In my opinion, in my view, they could also have done this so that partners wouldn't transfer air defense systems to Ukraine before winter. Because by demonstrating, we can attack you, you also need them. That sounds just like Putin.
The president of Finland stated that in 1,000 days, the Russians have advanced in Ukraine by less than 1%, paying an unimaginable price for it. In his opinion, the Russian Federation wants to escalate the war, not reach a peaceful settlement. And his recent actions toward Ukraine speak to this. Meanwhile, it has become known that Sweden will provide Ukraine with its 20th aid package, amounting to $836 million.
Special forces from the main intelligence directorate struck a Russian Black Sea Fleet ship near Novorossiysk with a drone. On September 10th in the Black Sea, special forces tracked and successfully attacked a high-value military target.
The ship in question was commissioned by the Russians in 2015. Its cost is about $60 million. The aggressor has a total of 4 such vessels.
At the time of the attack, the ship was conducting electronic reconnaissance and patrolling the approaches to the port of Novorossiysk, where part of the Russian Federation's Black Sea Fleet is currently stationed, including carriers of caliber sea-launched cruise missiles. As noted by the main intelligence directorate, repairing the Russian Federation's ship will be extremely expensive. Defense Express reports the widely circulated footage shows that its electronic equipment was hit. Despite its official designation as a multi-purpose rescue vessel, the occupiers used it as a reconnaissance ship. In Russia, such vessels have been additionally equipped and disguised with the word rescue painted on them.
Such disguising of a military vessel as a rescue ship is a violation of the rules and customs of war. That is, of course, if such things still matter or require explanation against the backdrop of the Russians' systematic daily targeted killing of civilians. Colonel, retired, of the Ukrainian Armed Forces and instructor pilot Roman Svitan stated on NV Radio, this special forces strike by the main intelligence directorate marks a new stage in carrying out combat missions in the Black Sea. Svitan added that the unmanned boat was at such a distance from the target that neither the Coast Guard nor Russian ships could see it. The FPV could cover a distance of 7 to 8 kilometers to complete its combat mission.
For the first time since February 2025, the ruble to euro exchange rate set a new record, reaching 100 rubles. Back on September 10th, the Central Bank of Russia set the euro exchange rate at 99 rubles and 82 kopecks. Subsequently, the European currency rose in price by almost 2 rubles at once. It is known that the Russian currency began to weaken back at the end of August. It was at that time that the dollar's value on the exchange was within 80 rubles. The head of Sberbank, Herman Gref, predicted a significant weakening of the ruble by the end of this year. Analysts believe that the Russian currency will continue to fall due to a number of factors. The market expects the continuation of the monetary policy easing course adopted by the leadership of the Central Bank of Russia at the beginning of the summer, and the ruble is also affected by the lowering of the key interest rate. One should not discount the impact of expectations regarding a possible decision to abolish the mandatory foreign currency revenue requirement for Russian exporters. Economic observer Vyacheslav Shiryaev stated that the economy of the Russian Federation continues to plunge into the abyss. In his opinion, it is necessary to let the ruble float freely, balance exports and imports, and give domestic producers some breathing room.
If the ruble shoots up to 120, what happens to prices? They start to rise by about 1.5 times. But if the exchange rate increases by, say, 40 rubles, then, for example, prices will follow suit by 50%, let's say. But you don't have to do that. You can keep the ruble strong and, well, stimulate import growth. And as a result, at some point, your local industry gets destroyed.
Economist Ladjukovsky states there is already a crisis in the Russian Federation. So far, the central bank and Rosstat have not confirmed this. Apparently, they don't want to be recognized as underground counter-revolutionaries, says the economist.
The fact is that the Russian economy has been declining throughout all of 2024, and the civilian sectors have been falling since the end of 2023 and all through 2024. I have provided my own estimates on this, and according to my calculations and models, the economy has already been in decline for more than 21 months. There is a recession in everything not related to the military-industrial complex. There is a decline. And the official figures show this as well. The economic growth rate has dropped almost to zero. That's it. We've hit the wall.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Russia continues to refrain from publishing a forecast for the ruble exchange rate in the medium term.